Hello and welcome to another edition of Viewer Polls. And of course, we are in the new year. And of course, I'm welcoming you again in the new year. We'll be going on a break. When we'll come back, we get to introduce the topic that we'll be discussing today. And you get to meet my guests. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. We all know what the nation is facing. Insurgency is actually affecting the country, but we, the public, we have a special way of contributing our quota in fighting insurgency. And of course, the topic that we'll be discussing right at this moment is the role of the public in fighting insurgency. And of course, the public has a lot to contribute aside from the military, paramilitary, and other forces that are actually the security agencies that are actually fighting this condition that the country found itself. And of course, how does the public do that? Of course, we can do that in so many ways through giving the security personnel's information, and of course through storytelling on the media, and of course you can also contribute your quota by doing it the way you feel it should be done. I beg your pardon. And of course, with me in the studio today, I have Mr. Shitu John, and of course we'll be discussing this topic, role of the public in fighting insurgency. And of course, he is a filmmaker. Of course, you get to find out how the public can also contribute its quota to the Nigerian forces. Hello, sir. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure is mine.
Happy New Year.
Same to you.
How have you been?
Yeah, I've been fine.
Okay. You're welcome to our studios.
Thank you.
Now, quickly, can we get to meet you?
Yes, my name is Shitu John, as you earlier said, and I'm a filmmaker by God's grace.
Okay.
Yeah.
Getting to know you was so brief.
Yeah.
Filmmaker. Well, are you a Nigerian?
Yes, I'm a Nigerian, and yes, I've been into film for a long period of time. Well, people wouldn't know us because we operate behind the scene as a director, sometimes as an editor, sometimes as a script writer. So technically, I've been involved in filmmaking for a long period of time. I think since 2006, I've been into filmmaking.
All right, you're welcome to the show. Now, quickly, the topic that we'll be discussing is the role of the public in fighting insurgency. Now, what is your take on this caption before we get down to the business of the day? What does this ring? Does it ring a bell about something you being a filmmaker that you need to do?
Yes. You see, the public have a lot to do in helping the armed forces and the other security agency of Nigeria in fighting insurgency. Let's take for example, I think sometimes last year, 2021, there was a pilot that was shot around Zamfara State, and a community gave him help before he was finally rescued back to Abuja. It was all over the news. You see, without the help that the help that the community gave him contributed to his rescue. So there are a lot of things that the public can do to help fight insecurity. A lot of times, even like giving intelligence report, like there are, these insurgents, they have name, they have faces, they are not ghosts, they belong to one family or the other. So if patriotic citizens can give information to the security agency that this person, so person is part of this bandits or terrorists, it will help them in gathering information and arresting such a person.
Now, we all know that you rightly said the people, the bandits, and the people terrorizing this country, they're all human beings like us. They're not ghosts.
Yes.
Now, you being a front liner, a filmmaker, in your own capacity, what do you think orientation, how do I put it, orientation, right, on movies or short film production can actually do to the public or actually help in curtailing this insurgency?
You see, let me say for right now there's an MOU we've signed, a Martaba Media Solution signed with the Nigerian Army to produce a movie that is titled Hardin Kai. The movie is all about the unity between the armed forces of Nigeria and other security agencies and the public in fighting insurgency. So as a filmmaker, the story is about an army officer that was missing in action. Let me use that word. So he was with his colleagues, and then something happened that he was left alone. So he had to fight the bandits alone. They were pursuing him up to an extent that he has to enter some rivers, and he used his military tactics to run away from them. Then a farmer gave him help. Then he now took him to a community. From the community, they now help him communicate to his base, and that was how he was rescued. Although that's the main plot of the movie, there are other subplots that are involved in the production.
So that means there's a cooperation between the public to actually support the Nigerian armed forces to see that they get to the roots and end the insurgency in the country.
Yes.
Now, what is the information are you trying to portray there? What information are you giving the public, and how will that information be helpful to the armed forces and the public in general?
You see, basically what we try to do is to show another way of fighting insurgency, the non-kinetic way. It's not always force, but there are ways that if the public can cooperate with the armed forces, it will fasten the fight against insurgency. Number one, as I earlier said, every insurgent, every bandit has a name, and his name is his identity. Apart from that, every insurgent has a face. He is not a ghost, or she is not a ghost. They have a family. They come from somewhere. They belong to a community. So there is no way they can be ghosts. So, and the security personnel, they are not, they are human beings like us. They gather intelligence by gathering information. So if the community can give them information about these people, or you see anybody coming into your community that is strange and is acting strange, as a patriotic citizen of the country, it is expected of you to report him. Either if you cannot go to the police, you can go to the community head and say, sir, there's someone that came, I'm suspecting the person is acting this, his movement is strange, this. So by the time you give this information, even if it is to the community head, they'll find a way of reporting it to the security personnel, and the person will be traced. And if they find that truly his activities is questionable, then they will be able to arrest that person. You see, by the time they get him and he's a bandit, they have a way of doing their things. He will reveal the next person. You see, it's just like a chain reaction. You just did, what you only did was just to give an information regarding a suspected movement to your community head. From the community head, it's just, as I said, it's a chain reaction. They now talk to the security personnel. When they check the person's movement, they found that the person is really suspicious, and they now gather some information about him. They arrest him. If truly is a terrorist or a bandit, definitely he will tell, he will now say, okay, another person that will do this thing together, my worker is so and so person. They will now trace the him. Before you realize, you just give a little information and you've saved a lot of people. Peradventure, they have kidnapped someone or they are about to attack somewhere. So this little information you have given could avert that attack or rescue that person. Right. And you see, right, it's just like a little spark, but you see how it's going.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shitu. I still have it in the studio anyway. All right, we'll be going on a break. When we come back, we still have more on Vivo Pulse. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back in a moment. Yeah. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Vivo Pulse, and of course we've been discussing the role of the public in fighting insurgency. And of course it is my duty and your duty, and of course even the children, to also involve in giving information to the local vigilante and also the Nigerian armed forces. And of course I've been discussing this not just alone. I have Mr. Shitu John with me in the studio. Now, Mr. Shitu, quickly, public orientation is the matter of importance. How do I put it? Important matters arising. I beg your pardon. So now, basically, public orientation on this insurgency. Most especially, we have had issues of young children being recruited into these groups. And what does this your production stands to correct or instill in the mind of the public and the young people?
Okay, let me put it this way. Before someone will be recruited into such things, he has to be a kind of indoctrinated. Like, for instance, they will give him an offer. Sometimes they will tell him that what he's doing is the will of God. Sometimes they say, okay, you do this for defense of this. There's a way they convince these people. They don't just recruit. You can deny it, although there are times that they are forcefully put some people into joining them. But what I'm trying to say is that most of these people that join this banditry, there are people that are idle. So you see, idleness, there is an idol that say an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So if you are idle, So they will be easily, you can be easily convinced to joining them. That's one. And secondly, a lot of people joined it, this banditry and terrorism, without knowing the dangers. You understand? They will just join them without knowing. It's when they now joined out, they will now start to know that this thing is bad, but by that time you have gone so far that you cannot come out. So this movie will show the dangers of joining the bandits, the dangers of even giving them cooperation. Like, there is no way they will exist without someone helping them. We earlier said that one of the ways that the community will help the armed forces is by telling them information. And the second one is not to give the bandits cooperation. You understand? Because most of these people that commit all these atrocities, they don't live inside town, they live in the bush. They have people that supplies them provisions such like things like medicals, things like foodstuffs, even petrol. Some people supply them even recharge cards and the rest. So you see, if the community do not give them all these cooperations, they will starve, even if they will not have the strength and the capacity they are having now. If they don't have fuel to fuel their vehicles, they cannot, and by the time they come by foot, they can be easily trapped. So they are overpowered. You see, that's one. If they don't have food, they will starve to death. If they don't have phones, they cannot communicate. And how do they get all these things? It's by recruiting people, and sometimes they also get their informants. They get their informants that tell them information, even about people that they kidnap and the rest. So if the community knows, okay, this person is a bandit, or this person gives bandits information, all this kind of little information you tell the security agencies, they can pick those people and cut off. By the time their supply is cut off, definitely they will feel the impact.
And there's this saying that says the child follows what he watches or what he sees.
Yes.
So I think it will actually go a long way in correcting most of these difficulties. Now, how do you intend, putting together such is a huge production. Now, how do you intend to put together characters? What kind of characters are you looking at to actually fit into this big production? Or are you going to also use the armed forces? Or how do you intend to do it?
Well, our MOU, part of the MOU we signed is that the armed forces will help us in guiding us, so that we'll use the correct military terms, or we'll use if we are wearing their uniforms, we now wear it the right way. That's the costumes and properties, so that you know what it means. Okay, when you are as an officer, how do you coordinate yourselves and stuff like that. So even at the production, there are going to be officers that will be guiding us on even how to handle the rifles and the rest. You understand, so that it will be professionally done. And our cast, yes, some of the cast, most of our cast will be, we source our cast. We'll do an audition for the production where we get our cast, and then we cast them for the role, different roles that will be done in the movie. Like the bandits, we cast some people like the bandits, people that look like officers and they are capable to act the part. We give them to, and then those bandits, if you are a bandit, you should be able to act like a bandit, you look like a bandit, you speak like a bandit, you think like a bandit in the movie.
You have to fit into character.
You have to fit into character so that it will look real. At the end of the day, we are not promoting banditry, but at the same time, we want to, there are some films that if you, for instance, there was a movie I watched, I think many years ago, that it portrayed two, the number one, the police, and the second one was a military movie. You see, in the film, I think Ukwa and the rest were in the movie. Someone just came and told them that armed robbers are coming. And if you see the kind of uniforms they are wearing that day in the movie, it was so tattered, it looked somehow
not clean
and polished. So you see, and the film has traveled far and wide.
Yes.
So anybody that just watched the movie in other countries, they will not believe that this is not how Nigerian police looks. This is not how Nigerian police dressed. You understand?
That means in even your auditioning, children and women, what age are you looking at?
Let me learn about that movie. I'll come to that, sir. So you see, in that movie, the guy just came and shouted. They now hold this hunter's gun, and all of them ran away. So you see, it depicts the police in a very bad way. And the other movie, there was, I think it was Pet Odeti that was a major character. And he just said that, he said, what happened to the car? It was, I think, a corporal. He said there was no fuel, that was what happened. He now shot him. The other person said, why didn't you give fuel? He now shot him. You see, he depicts the military in a very bad way. You get it? So we want to promote our armed forces in a very good manner, and apart from that, they are doing their best. So a lot of them have families. They will leave your family for months. You are in the bush just to fight in order to secure,
to put the country together
and the unity of this country, and so that people like us can sleep.
So quickly, time is on our side. 2 minutes. Your locations, and are you going to make it a Netflix standard production?
By God's grace, we intend to give this movie a world standard in sound quality, pictures, directing, even special effects. Whatever we want to do, we want to give it a world standard by God's grace.
So, one word of advice for young people before we round up the show.
My advice is that we should not always rely on the government, because most people said that this insecurity happens because there is no job. There are a lot of things that you can learn. You can learn even carpentry, welding. There are a lot of trades. If you can learn a simple trade that can give you small income, you will not find yourself engaging yourself with the bandits or doing things that will cause harm to the society.
Sorry, quickly, I asked a question you skipped. I was asking you about locations and...
Okay, the location, by God's grace, we are going to shoot the movie in Kaduna.
Just Kaduna State?
Yes, one has to be careful. We are shooting it in Kaduna, within Kaduna State. I don't want to, we are on air, I don't want to give the specific location, because we are doing something about bandits and terrorists, so that if we disclose the location, so that we will not have issues.
All right, it was a wonderful time having you around, and I pray that you go beyond the level you are now, grace to grace, and we hope to see more of you in Viewer TV here in our studio. It's nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And of course, this is where we'll come to the end of Viewer Pause for today. And of course, the topic that we'll be discussing is the role of the public in fighting insurgency. Wherever you are, whoever you are, if you have tangible information to give the Nigerian Armed Forces, of course, it will go a long way in stopping a lot of damages being made to our people in the villages, our people traveling, and of course, our innocent people, mostly the girls and women that are being kidnapped out of their will and are being raped. All right, do keep a date with me when we bring you fresh edition of Viewer Pulse, and keep watching Viewer TV. Bye for now.
Hello.